Yo, what's going on, you guys, and welcome back to another video on the channel. So today's video is going to be a little bit different than most. For me, the hardest part of FIFA so far is defending. I think the majority of you guys have probably noticed that as well. The AI doesn't save us nearly as much as it did in FIFA 20. So this video today, I want to give you guys just 5 simple tips that can help you out with that. A little disclaimer, this video is more aimed for people that are beginning with the game, maybe in that silver, gold category. If you are elite or above, I doubt this video will help you out whatsoever. Just super simple things that can maybe get these guys a few more wins in FUT Champions when it does start up here in a few weeks. If you guys do enjoy the video and maybe you want me to do a few more of these tip videos, please just make sure to leave a like. If you are brand new and would like to support the channel as well, subscribing helps out tremendously. Let's go ahead and get into tip number 1. So what I've done for these tips is things that I've done wrong, things that my opponents have done wrong. That way you can see that I've actually experienced this in the game so far. In the very first clip here, I received the ball in the midfield, and as you can tell, defenders go absolutely flying this year. It makes no sense kind of why they do, but it throws us into tip number 1, which is try to avoid pulling defenders out of space. I know for me, personally, this is like my worst habit in the world when it comes to FIFA. So it's so tough for me to like play it kind of, I want to say boring almost, by just using midfielders and stuff like that. But as you can see in even this next clip, the defenders, they don't stop running. It's kind of wild. It's honestly, once they get going one direction, it's hard to get them going another. Obviously, I was unlucky to miss it there, but you can see kind of the idea of what I'm talking about. And it's the fact that literally they're on the ice skates basically. So try to avoid moving players in your back line is a huge tip, and that'll bring us into tip number 2 now. All right, tip number 2 is not to go diving in while you're in the box. Try to stand up your man, or with how good everything is this year, they probably will expose you. In this clip here, obviously, I'm just trying out some skill moves. It's one of my first few games. But look, you just go sending them. There's no reason to slide tackle there whatsoever. And when you come up against a very good player, when you get into FUT Champions and stuff like that, it is going to be a nightmare if you're diving in. What you should be doing in the box and the buttons that will help you out with that leads us into tip number 3. All right, so the clip that I'm about to show you right now is obviously not everything I'm kind of preaching right now, but I think I was in the middle of a story, so that's kind of the reason why. But it is a perfect example of the Sprinting Jockey. The Sprinting Jockey can be performed by holding L2 and R2 on your controller. Obviously, if you're on the Xbox, just gonna be left trigger and right trigger. But as you can see earlier, we were talking about the players being on ice skates. This is going to help out tremendously with being able to shift back quickly. It's a very easy way just to stand players up and have your player be agile the entire time, which is fantastic while you're in the box. Realistically, in the situation where a player's going down the line or they're starting to cut into your box, you're just gonna wanna hold down these 2 buttons, stand them up, and what you can do as well is you can jockey toward them the entire time that they're doing their skill moves, and you can choose the right time to bite. Theoretically, it's when they don't really have another option to pass, or maybe when they're close to the touchline as well and they don't really have many options to go anywhere. But overall, it's a really helpful tip. I honestly didn't even know about this till like last year of FIFA, and it made such a huge difference. Having said that, for those of you guys that played FIFA 20, I don't think it's nearly as overpowered as it was last year. I think they did nerf it a little bit along with all the AI defending and stuff, but it is still useful to use this year, as we showed the beginning with like the ice skates and everything like that. This will help out with that situation. So tip number 4 is actually a huge one, and probably more important this year than any other year of FIFA, and it's not diving into a tackle unless you are certain that you will get the ball. There are a load of new dribbling mechanics and everything that's happened now that honestly benefits the attacker way more than I think the defender. It's so tough as well. Once one of the attackers gets in front of your defender, it's almost impossible, it feels, to get back in front of them. There's speed boost, there's everything going on right now, so you really have to pick and choose when you're going to go ahead and tackle. In the clip, obviously you can see I'm trying to jockey and stay in front of him, but in kind of no man's land right there, this is probably not the time to tackle. Just stand him up, allow some of my players to get back, and honestly just end up using one of those players and be able to throw the center back into the position that he's supposed to be in that, I guess, that area of the field. one silly button press of circle or B, depending on what console you're on, literally could be the difference between you conceding or not. So really try to end up choosing what tackles you decide to go into and which ones maybe you should hold off for the rest of your team to get back. So tip number 5 isn't necessarily going to be an in-game tip, but it's honestly going to set you up for success going into the game. With each year on FIFA, there's more people obviously that come in, and a lot of people don't know about custom tactics and how you can set them up. Obviously, this is the way that my team's lined up right now. It's not like a final team or anything just yet, but I'm currently running obviously a 4-4-2 flat. This is not a formation that I would literally ever run in game, and this is the way that you can make this work, all right? So basically, you go into custom tactics, go ahead and hit L2, and you have 4 other formations that you can end up using. For me personally, I like the 4-1-2-1-2 narrow. I like it a whole lot. Another one that everybody really liked from last year and with my experience so far this year, the 4-2-3-1 narrow, the one with the 3 cams, is actually very good too. There are so many formations that can be really balanced and honestly help your team out. If you have way too many people forward, obviously there aren't going to be people defending and you're going to get caught out in the midfield, and that is the situation. What you can do, and I wasn't too concerned about it at the beginning, but I do it during all the drafts and everything, is you can actually put player instructions on these people too. So obviously when you go into these new formations, make sure that your players are in the same spot. You can go ahead and just hit triangle and move them around whichever way you would like to. Obviously, you want your players with really good defensive stats to be hanging back, and obviously those attackers to be forward. So when you go over to instructions, what I like to do, and this is typically my thing for the 4-1-2-1-2, and I'll probably end up doing it once I hop into like Division 2 rivals and that, is you can basically click on, say, your CDM right here. And what you're going to want to do for attacking support is you can do things like stay back while attacking. It'll obviously leave your defense way more balanced. You can do this on pretty much any player you would like to do it on. Typically, I like doing it on 2 of the midfielders. That way there's 2 going forward and 2 staying back. Depending on how attacking of a person you are as well, you can either have your defenders on either stay back while attacking, they could be balanced, or they could join the attack if that is like a huge thing for you to go forward with it. Another big thing as well is setting up your tactics. For me, I usually play a little bit aggressive just because I want to have fun with this game. So you can do things like pressure on heavy touch, press after possession loss. You can do constant pressure. This will kind of like weigh down everything as well. What a lot of the pro guys do, or at least what they used to do, is drop back, and this is probably the safest thing. So when you go down to the depth, it shows how high your line's going to be held. If you want to play it a little bit more safe and you're worried about kind of through balls and everything going through, you're obviously going to want to drop the depth, and that is a huge thing there as well. Nothing too crazy in this tip video, but if you guys obviously have enjoyed, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you are brand new. Let me know if you have any questions, and obviously if there are things that have helped you guys out so far with FIFA 21, comment them down below, because I imagine people will be looking for more tips and tricks as well, all right? I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for hanging out. Peace.